Everybody, this is Perch. And got a viewer question here, a viewer comment, I should say, that feels a little bit like a few weeks ago I read one about racism, and in this case, racism in the comments. And I said at the time, and I think it played out this way, I liked the question because it was direct. What I often dislike about the internet and just conversation in general online is that it's this passive aggressive beating around the bush nonsense where it feels like people are trying to Columbo their way into a trap where rather than just ask you what's on their mind, rather than just say what they're thinking. They want to kind of do this roundabout three-dimensional chess version of a comment in order to I don't know, trick you into saying something. It's I think people, well, I don't think, it's clear that people online believe they're far more clever than they actually are. I mean, that's always true. The Dunning-Kruger effect, which I've talked about before, is in effect constantly. People are always they're always more confident in their abilities to logic and use words than not. It's just, I especially love it. Twitter, I've been taking screen caps of some of the funnier things, but people do these word salad responses to things where they're just like fascism, conservative, socialist, communist, whistleblower, gaslighting. It's like, God damn. I mean, just please, what are you doing? It's like, I learned a bunch of words today, Daddy. Look at me use them all. That's how it always comes across. So I like direct questions. They just save so much time. And maybe it's because I'm getting older. Yes, mumbles. Time is on my, like, I just have so much, I so less tolerance, so much less. I've less tolerance for nonsense, and which again, yeah, mumbles. I realize these videos are nonsense. I get it, but I just have, I like, if you want to say something, say it. Just say it. So this question kind of hits at that a little bit. I appreciated, as I said, the racism question, and I think a lot of the people appreciated it in the comments as well. It actually it spurred a pretty decent argument and a pretty decent debate. There are a handful of people who are like, I hate that person who wrote the question. That person is clearly a fake person or whatever. But it was still good. And the majority, I think, appreciate it because it was direct. Again, we got past all the little posturing and the pissing on the ground, and we got to the question. So, in the interest of no more pissing on the ground, here's today's question. Hey, Perch, I like your show. One of the things I like about what you do is you seem to get to the heart of the matter rather than entertain conspiracy theories and intentional misrepresentations of what's going on. To be frank, a lot of other channels and a lot of people in your comments frequently go down the path of wanting things to be overly complicated to fit their own ideology or their own worldview. It's not that there's a bad plot, it's that the writer wants to make your kids gay. It's not that the writer doesn't know how to do good dialogue. It's that they secretly have an agenda to destroy all conservatives, and they want to take that out in the mouth of the Red Skull. To be fair, I think both things are true in that particular instance. I think if you're talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates and the Captain America comic where the Red Skull became Jordan Peterson, I think that was a combo of not a great writer for comics, as evidenced by many of the other comics that he did, and laziness. I think that people always underrepresent laziness when it comes to comics. We've talked about that too. And a desire to take somebody he didn't like, in this case Jordan Peterson, and shove those words in the Red Skull, which was both lazy and dumb. And I'm not saying this as a giant defender of Jordan Peterson. I'm not being paid by Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson has not reached out to my channel to hawk his NFTs. I think make your characters stand on their own feet. Putting somebody else's words in their mouth is just lazy. To me, it just says you are not a good writer. You don't know what to say, so you're just going to copy somebody else's work. That's how it says to me. Anyway, so I think it's all three in that case. But your point is taken. Back to the mail. I believe in most cases, Occam's razor explains a lot what's going on in comics. But a lot of people in your comments seem to want to believe the most complicated possible answer for very simple questions. They want to believe that there's an agenda against them. They want to feel oppressed, so they create an oppressor. Keep doing what you do. Thanks for the videos. Okay. Again, I appreciate the directness. The thing that would have made it more direct, like one thing I liked about the male that was questioning the racism a little bit better, is it used more concrete examples. It was like very, very direct. I actually didn't read some of the examples in that mail because it's like, and here's some commenters I'm talking about exactly, and it just listed it out. And to be fair, as I said in that video, like I do believe that most people are here and they're having a good dialogue and everything else. But yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said there's no racism at all that ever appears in my comments. Of course there is. You know, there was a comment that was up the other day that, and this is always what irritates me about YouTube's flagging system, is they will happily, as many of you have encountered, censor and hide things that are completely benign, and I mean completely benign. There's one in there the other day, and I don't look as much because it's too much to keep up with. But there was a comment in there the other day that YouTube flagged and held for review, that said, I don't like the way comic books feel cheap. The paper feels cheap. It doesn't even feel like I have a solid comic in my hand, or something very close to that. That was a comment. There was no cursing in it. That was good. And YouTube's like, oh no, this is too dangerous. Meanwhile, same day, a comment that doesn't get flagged says, basically, the only minority is one that's in chains or hung. And I took that one out because it went on further about burning crosses. I mean, it was like a parody of racism. And I do wonder, if I'm being completely honest, to me, this is my paranoia, if there are people who, come to my channel and post over the top crazy things in the comments and then screenshot it and take it back to their buddies and say, see, that Perch guy has a hate channel over there. Look at the kind of stuff being posted over there. I do think there's some of that going on. I also think there's some crazy racists. There are. We clearly know there are. But I don't think that's my core demographic by any stretch of the imagination. As for this, I do think there's a higher percentage of what's being talked about here. I do think that there is the problem with comics is, and anything, is once you start looking at things through a certain lens, it's hard to stop. You tend to, always look at things through that same lens. You tend to, you can't not see it. And once you believe a certain, theory, conspiracy or otherwise, conspiracy theories are made in such a way that your mind starts, basically structuring those theories around everything. Sana Amanat comes up and says, I partially created Miss Marvel. I met Barack Obama, basically identified as very left wing, basically identified as, a agent of change within that company, and a change that she was driving, and she said those things. And so, 5-6 years later, people are still like, hey, that one gay character show up in the comic, that was Sana Amanat did that. Probably not, but unfortunately, that structure exists. Sana has bigger problems, by the way, than to figure out what kind of gay characters. Just if you're paying attention closely at home, you know what I'm talking about. But you start to create constructs of ideas, and you start to fit everything in there. And you are right. Occam's razor is usually the right answer. Laziness is another huge one. That's why I talk, and I haven't changed my opinion on it. And it makes people crazy that the idea that there's this overarching agenda in comics as the sole reason for a lot of this, or the main driver for a lot of this, is unfortunately it's not the top reason. From every bit of conversation I have, from talking to people inside the companies, and I explained in the sources video, from the angle that I get that information from, I think it's a more pure angle of what's going on. Laziness is like if you're playing, I was in my head, I think Family Feud. So you have those little boxes. And I'm not saying, left-wing agenda is not on that board. It is. There's definitely there's definitely some of that goes on. But much higher up on that board include things like substandard pay, low talent, laziness exists much higher on that board, to be just completely frank. This and by the way, this proves itself every single day. I saw, I again, maybe one day, it's a day like in Mark Miller's King of Spice, great book, by the way. He learns he's going to die. I learn I'm going to die. I'm like, F it. All the mails are going out. Like, just put all that out. I'm telling you, no matter how jaded you are, you'd be shocked by some things. You'd be shocked. Incompetence is really high up there on that board. I think that it's more, but the reality is it's more fun to say, hey, there's a Marvel writer who wants to turn all your children gay, and that's why they're doing all the gay in the comics with the gay. It's more fun to do that than to say, hey, writers kind of doesn't really know what they're doing, and couldn't get a job in any kind of other industry where it pays more and there's the actual qualifications needed. Has tried but can't, and this is where they're at, and the editor is too bored, uninterested, and incompetent to actually check the work. And that's what's, unfortunately, that's kind of like, no one's happy with that answer. It's much better to say they're turning kids gay. That's a much more appealing. It's just more fun than people are lazy and incompetent. And the reality is, you can't make a lot of money. You can't get a lot of clicks. You can't get a lot of views on your video or your article or your blog post or whatever else. You can't do that if your premise is most of the people are lazy and not really paying attention to their job. What's much better is if you can put in that little thumbnail, they're turning your kids gay, and then a picture of you go with with your hands on it, like Home Alone style. That's going to work much better. So whatever people are entertained by. I mean, here's the thing. To the letter writer, to the person who wrote in, YouTube, and this maybe is a point that gets forgotten a lot. This video, this channel, YouTube in general, it's entertainment. I mean, I'm under no illusion. I'm not here educating the masses. This is mindless entertainment, by and large. And so, who's to say that my way is right? It's clearly not. If you go by the numbers, there's a lot more views, a lot more attention, a lot more that goes on to people who are doing these kind of over-the-top reactions because it's more entertaining. This channel is dull. I don't go and listen back to myself. My voice sounds like shit. I hate it. Every now, when I edit my videos, and this is part of the reason, by the way, another mystery unlocked, why some of the editing sucks, is I do it with the volume off as much as I can. If I have to turn the volume on to figure out what I'm saying, it's awful. It is awful. So, you guys listening to this, I don't know how you do it, man. You deserve a medal for listening to this. Yeah, Mumbles, you're right. I don't know how you do it. It's terrible. Every now and then somebody's like, you have a radio voice, and I don't know what exactly that means, other than usually in the past when I would say, you've got a radio voice. What I was actually saying is, you have a radio voice because your face wouldn't make it on TV, and that is probably true in my case too. But anyway, the point is, all of this stuff is designed to be entertainment. It's designed to be, something to kind of, you to enjoy for the, 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it happens to be before you go on with whatever you're doing in your life. And so when you see these videos or you see these articles that are over the top, kind of hyperbolic with what they're saying, keep in mind they're entertainment. It's kind of the point. There's a reason why Michael Bay films use so many explosions. By the way, there's a Michael Bay film. Ryan Reynolds is in it on Netflix. It's like everybody know you know what I'm talking about. It's like 7 for something. Anyway. This film. It's not a good film, but it's hilarious because it is the Michael Bay of Michael Bays. I mean, it is comical in how Michael Bay this movie is, and I love it for that. It's the same way I love Nick Cage, because Nick Cage is the Nick Cage of Nick Cages. Are you getting Shakespearean acting? No, but you are getting Nick Cage, damn it, and he delivers. He brings all the Nick Cage he can bring, and that is, sometimes that's what you want, and you don't want Perch being a wet blanket of well, actually, it's just laziness. It is what it is. Please, in the comments, the thing I take to heart from the letter here is, do push yourself to think critically. No, that's not a plug for Wes's channel, but you should go listen to Wes's channel. It's not a plug for anything. It's just make sure that your emotions and your kind of your overall feelings of just make sure you're not baited. Look, the reality is right now, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all of these different agencies understand very clearly, as well as Twitter, Facebook, they understand that there's a lot of profit in manipulating you. They want you to think, and frankly, they don't want you to think. They want you to just take the emotions and what they do, and they want to manipulate and lead you around with it. And don't let yourself be that. Don't let yourself do that. Don't let yourself do it from those people. Don't let yourself be led around by, the amateurs with blogs, websites, and videos. Make up your own mind. It's good. If you find yourself saying, well, I think what this guy thinks, reconsider. That's my ask. Just reconsider a little bit. You're better when you're making up your own mind and when somebody's not making it up for you, including me. So thank you for the mail. I appreciate the directness very much. And to all of you who listen, I appreciate that you're spending your time here. Again, I don't understand why, but thank you. And thank you for the comments. And we're figuring this all out together. Thanks for listening.